Hello, I'm Dennis Tucker. I preach for the Life Church of Christ. I want to welcome you to a Bible lesson. If you can, open up your Bibles and maybe sit down for a few minutes, piece of paper, and just stay along with me. And we're going to deal with a subject at this time that deals with the internet. And the lesson title is Dangers of the Internet. The Apostle Paul in Romans first chapter spoke of the various things that the Gentiles had gotten involved in, all the various sins, and downward spiral. As I often think about that first chapter of Romans, and as he lists all these things that they were doing that was wrong, he got to the point where he simply said they were inventors of evil, which means that they could figure out ways to do bad things, and in ways maybe that people hadn't thought of before. And I got to think about that in relationship to the time we're living in. And since my birth, since my younger years, we have had many different kind of advances in technology, kinds of inventions. And I can remember when we had party lines on the phones. And actually my grandparents didn't have phone for the longest time. And then when they did, it was a party line. That we live in a time of computers, and the fact is that we can communicate to each other by computer, by iPhones, by iPads, and microwave ovens. I mean, just various things that we think about. It's amazing today as far as how our technology has changed and how our lives have changed with that technology. And many years ago, one of my uncles was killed in an auto accident. And my parents lived in Louisville at that time. My grandparents lived down in Burr County. And the only way they had to actually communicate to my mom that her brother had been killed was to call somebody in Louisville and have them to come over to the house and tell mom and dad what had happened. Now today, that seems just foreign because everybody has phone, everybody has access to technology, to the ability to call each other. But that just shows you the difference in lifestyle and how we've changed because our technology. The computers. Now, computers are not bad in of themselves, and computers help us be more efficient. There are things that we do today without really thinking about how hard it used to be. Printing out bulletins. I did not live in a time period where a lot of preachers talked about mimeograph machines. You had to type out your bulletin, you had to take it, put it on a mimeograph machine, you had to run it off. And that required a lot of work. And today I can sit down at my computer, I can type out my article and print it off without hardly thinking about it. And the medical industry, I use the computers all the time. It's getting hard to figure out how medicine today would be functioning without access that we have on computers to our medical history. Space flight, the fact that we can send rockets to outer space and use the computers to get them exactly where we want them to go. Probably have seen maybe some of the old Apollo movies or studied some about the Apollo spacecraft and early launches, and realized that people were using slide rules instead of computers, instead of calculators. They had to do the math in their head or have to do the math longhand. And just kind of shows you how much things have changed, so much between us. And computer saves money, saves lives even, that we have the ability to use some of these technologies to advance in the sense of defibrillators and heart monitors, things along that lines. And as you think about the computers, one thing honestly connected to computers is the internet. And in the World Wide Web, as you know, WWW stands for. And as we look at it, we understand that the WWW, the World Wide Web, actually started with military computers, the ability of the military to communicate by the computer system to other military installations and military bases. And then eventually universities got involved in this here, that universities could use this, then banks could use this, businesses started using it, hospitals started using it. Personal computers came along, iPads, and everything between. And so as the thing about the danger of the internet, let me just say it right here, right? There are some good uses to the internet and the computers. The internet provide what I often call social networking. And that is you have things like Facebook. There are 207 billion people that now use Facebook. You look at Twitter, and that's the ability of people to communicate, to express what's on their minds very quickly. There's 353 million users each month of Twitter. YouTube has 2.3 billion users, and there's over 2 billion users, logged in users to Facebook, to YouTube each month. Every day, people watch over 1 billion hours of video and generate billions of dollars and billions of views. Snapchat, 280 million annual users. And bloggers, there's 600 million bloggers. It again gives the ability to people to say what's on their mind. And I'm going to put all that in good, and we're going to kind of reference that a little bit later, but I would say, the ability to communicate is good. There is also the Bible material. As far as a church, a preacher, and a congregation, sermon outlines are available. I can look and see what maybe other people are saying about a subject if I had trouble getting my outline together. There are commentaries that are available online, books. I can look up Bible Gateway allows me to go and look up translations that's versed in various translations. Very easy, very simple. Church directories are available online. Find the church is something I go to find maybe a website or time sources of a particular congregation. Web pages to church where I'm at, Lilac Road, we have a website with, again, I can post videos like this here, my sermon outlines, articles, Bible story studies on that. Directories, member directories are all available online. We can send out announcements by the internet, by email. There are educational uses. The internet and the colleges online. Phoenix, the college, University of Phoenix, to name one of them. There's many others also, and also entertainment. YouTube, as I mentioned before, that you can go there and watch various videos and games are available online. Television shows you can look at online. And streaming is available. Major networks, all those things are available. Businesses, eBay, Amazon. Now, they're selling billions of dollars of merchandise each year, almost each month. Retail stores have their catalogs online. And so all these things I just kind of point out that there are good uses to the internet, and we use those things very efficiently, but there are some dangers to the internet. And I just want to go with those in the last part of this lesson, the rest of this lesson. One is internet addiction. And that is that you sit down and realize that computer time, for whatever reason, seems to go by very quickly. You can sit down and think, I'm just going to spend 5 or 10 minutes here on this computer and look at the screen and maybe play this game or watch this video and then start watching another video and then another video. And if you're not careful, you're sitting there and you look at your watch and then realize 2 hours is gone. 2 hour time has already passed by without, and you just, for whatever reason, it seems like the computer time does pass quickly. I always thought about that when I was studying and going to college. It just seemed like going and sitting on a computer just made the day go by a whole lot faster. And some people get so wrapped up in the internet and so wrapped up on their computers that it also leads to procrastination. We think, well, I need to do this, but I'll wait till later. Or I'd rather do this right now and wait on doing things I need to be doing till later on. So we procrastinate. Children can get isolated from each other. They get on their devices, they play their games, they maybe look at some of the social media, and yet they're isolated. There have been many high schools that's complained about the fact, or talked about the fact, that they had to cancel sporting events, the sport teams they used to have, because they don't have enough people to actually go out for those events anymore. And all that is because, largely because they are comfortable sitting at home, playing their games, being isolated from other people. Adults can become withdrawn from other people because of their computers and doing things on a computer. And there's a principle of addiction that's mentioned over 1 Corinthians 6, verse 12. When Paul said, all things are lawful for me, but all things are not helpful. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. Now, when Paul says all things are lawful, he's not saying as a Christian I can do whatever I want. And there's no such thing as sin. But what he's pointing out, there are things that we may say, well, they're not sinful. These things are not bad, but are they helpful? Is this something I need to be involved in? And so that's the point he's making, and it kind of makes the application a little bit farther down in verse 13. And so just because you have the ability, just because you have the right to do something, doesn't mean you should be doing that. It doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. And so you have to kind of prioritize. And that is, we can become slaves of television. We could just become slaves of our games. We could become slaves to our computers, slaves to our phones, and not be able to function without those things and spend so much time on that. Now, we should not be like that. In 1 Corinthians 15, verse 33, there says, evil company corrupts good morals. You have to think about, who are you associating with, maybe on some of these games or some of these websites, and the kind of language being used, the kind of images that are being portrayed on these websites. Who are you associating with? What are you seeing? Also, the addiction in the sense that sometimes employees steal from their employers by spending time on their computer doing things instead of actually working. There have been numerous occasions. One a few years ago, but a number of government workers discovered that they were spending hours and hours each day on their computers playing games, viewing pornography, which in itself by itself is bad. But basically, a problem in many offices is that they can tell you productivity in some areas had declined because that their employees are viewing the internet instead of doing their jobs. And so that's one thing. Internet addiction, just the amount of time we spend on it. We need to think about that. The second thing is networking sites. And especially in the area of pornography, in the area of dating sites, and of these pop-ups that come up on your screen. That is, here's somebody, I'm single and I'm in your area. Or here's pictures of people and they're all within your area, and there's young ladies or older ladies, and you can view those things, and they're inviting you to chat with them or to come visit them. Okay? And marriages can be ruined. Infidelities have occurred because people have connected on the internet in that way. Somebody's looking for you. Somebody wants to talk to you. Emails for singles that are looking to hook up for one-night stands. Those kind of things. They're married wives. You're looking for action clubs. All these things are available on the internet. And sometimes it can even start innocently. And maybe it's a case where maybe you start thinking about an old boyfriend or old girlfriend you have. You start wondering, are they available? And can I track them down by Googling them or some other way of trying to search for that person? And in a lot of cases there, they start flirting with this person. Now, over in Proverbs 5, this is, figuratively mentions, but the point being made here, in verse 15, Proverbs 5, verse 15 says, drink water from your own cistern and running water from your own well. Should your fountains be dispersed abroad, streams of water in the streets. And goes on, so let them be only your own and not for strangers with you. Let your fountain be blessed and rejoice, wife of your youth. And the idea is, again, that you need to be content with the person you're with. You need to find your satisfaction in that person instead of looking at other people and maybe taking advantage of hookups or whatever dating sites are available out there. And a lot of times people say, I'm just kind of pretending. I'm just kind of playing about this. But infidelities happen. Marriage has been ruined by this. Gossip and slander is easily seen on the internet. In Proverbs 11, verse 3, first part says, a talebearer reveals secrets. On the internet, the World Wide Web really means that everyone can read your words and everybody can see your pictures. And they're always out there to do that. You may be in their basement. You may be in your bedroom. You may be at a library on the computer, and you can start typing on something. And just think about this, that whatever you type is available everywhere. There's not any limitation, it seems like. And so you have to be thinking about what you're saying. And basically, on American Idol, one of the final four people on the contestants, they're about ready to go for the $1 million like they won American Idol. One of the top contestants had to drop out because when he was 12 years old, he made a video. And, whether or not, I hadn't even seen the video, I had no idea whether it was good or bad, but the idea is that he made a video that was controversial, and it caused him, he had to drop out. You see, that's the power of the internet, and that fact is, once you put something out there, it is out there forever. And so you need to think about that as far as what you say. And people have found it easy on the internet to say things they wouldn't normally say, to spread rumors. Proverbs 17, verse 9 says, "He who covers transgression seeks love, but he repeats a matter and separates friends." So here's something you get on your computer, start typing out, here's what I heard. Over in Proverbs 18, verse 8, "The words of a talebearer are like tested trifles, and they go down to the innermost body." That is, it's kind of fun, to kind of reveal things or say things about people, and it can be kind of entertaining also. Proverbs 20, verse 19, "He who goes about as a talebearer reveals secrets. Therefore, do not associate one who flatters with his lips." That people can, again, they think they're being anonymous, and sometimes you are, or you try, it's hard for people to find out who you are, and you can say things that shouldn't be said. And the internet allows what's often called cyberbullying. Girls are more likely than boys, by the way, to actually use the internet to get back somebody, to attack somebody they don't like. And the result of this, and every now and then we see this in the newspapers, we see it on the television, the result of this can be very tragic. You can have suicides because somebody thinks that their life has been ruined because something has been spread on the internet, and they simply cannot live that. Megan Meyer was a 13-year-old young lady, and she started a conversation, started communicating with a 14-year-old boy on the internet. Now, in reality, that 14-year-old boy wasn't a 14-year-old boy. In reality, that 14-year-old boy was a 49-year-old mom that lived in her neighborhood. And she ended the relationship with this Megan Meyer. I told Megan the world would be better off without her. Now, just think about that. You're talking to a 13-year-old girl. You're pretending to be a 14-year-old boy, and you end it by telling this 13-year-old girl that the world would be better off without her. In October 2006, Megan Meyer hung herself. Tyler Clement was a Rutgers University student. He committed suicide in September 2010. And he did this because a roommate of his had filmed him having a sexual relationship, a sexual encounter. Now, again, we could talk about the evil of that by itself, but he filmed that and then posted it on the internet. And he could not live with the idea of everybody knowing. 20% of teens have been cyberbullied and have been engaged in cyberbullying. And again, this can be posting mean things on the internet. It could be the idea of sending anonymous emails or cyber pranking somebody. About 20% have been affected by this. Then you have also internet predators. And young people are often gullible. And they're lonely, and they get on their computer and they start typing in and start communicating with somebody. They're feeling isolated, and they make they find connection with somebody. There are over 752,000 sexual predators, registered sexual predators in the United States. There's 10,000 that we don't have any idea where they're at, by the way. And teens are willing to meet with strangers. 16% of teens have considered meeting someone they've only talked to online. And 8% have actually done that. And often that has tragic results. And so we look at this and realize that the danger of, again, internet predators, because people can stalk your children, stalk somebody that's gullible. And how they meet? Well, again, online games, and very popular young people, chat rooms, Facebook, other type of social media. And parents need to keep up and see what their young people are doing. See what the children do. Look for warning signs. Then also on the internet, there is the spreading of false doctrine. The same things are not true. Again, anybody can post it on the internet. You can make up facts. You can pretend to be a university professor, talk about science. You could pretend to be a doctor someplace and talk about medicine. You could be pretend to be anybody, and who knows who you are. And often things are said that are not true. And this goes with religiously. In 2 John, in 2 John 9 through 11 says, whoever transgresses does not abide in the doctrine of Christ does not have God. He abides in the doctrine of Christ as both the Father and Son. If anyone comes to you and does not bring this doctrine, do not receive him to your house nor greet him, for he who greets him shares in his evil deeds. Okay, now again, I said earlier that the internet allows us to communicate by lessons on Facebook or by websites to spread the gospel, teach lessons, but also allows false teachers to do the same thing. And it makes it easy to publish some type of false doctrine, and make it look like everybody else believes this, make it look like that this is well known. And before you know it, they're teaching things that's simply not true. We need to be very aware of that. We need to understand that even among our own brethren, sometimes false doctrine starts up. And just because we read it on the internet doesn't mean it's true. We need to do our own research. Matthew 7 verse 15 says, beware of false prophets coming to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. Be careful of that person. It sounds really good in a chat room, or sounds really good on Facebook, or says the right things in any other medium you talk about, because they may be that ravenous wolf. And then also, internet stealing. Internet stealing. In Ephesians 4:28 says, let him who stole steal no longer, but rather let him labor, work with his hands what's good, they may have something to give him who has need. Now, the internet gives us the ability to access all kinds of information, all kinds of material, and also to download a lot of that stuff. Now, download songs, and a lot of times things we download may be free. Sometimes it's protected by copyright. And sometimes people will violate those copyright laws or download things, start giving it out as free material when it's not designed for that. And really, you are stealing from somebody else. And in those cases, you need to contact the original author. And there's been times I've done that. I've contacted the author and says, can I print this? Can I use this in my bulletin? And most of the time, what the reply back is, yes, you can. Just don't sell it. You give it away free. That's okay. But do we do that? Now, sometimes people actually print things and give it out, and you're violating the copyright laws. Con artists. All of us, kind of the joke is that all of us have received an email from maybe the widow whose husband, in a later part of life, obeyed the gospel, and he had $23 million in Uganda or some other foreign country, and he wants to be able to help the gospel preachers in the United States. Or maybe it's a person that wants to help get money in the United States and they need you to help them do that. If you help them, they're going to give you 10% of the money they're going to send over here, and the money they're sending over here is going to be millions of dollars. All they need is simply your bank account number and your router number. That's all they need. And they would use your account and bring that money over here. And on more than one occasion, people have given them the router number and the bank account number and been cleaned out. It's easy if you give out information like that. And so you just have to realize that stealing is possible and very easy to do on the internet. I'll conclude this with what I came across called the 10 Internet Commandments. Number 1, you shall have no other gods for me, not even online. Number 2, you shall not treat your computer as if it was a god. Number 3, you shall shun those taking God's name in vain. Number 4, remember the Sabbath. Get off the computer, do something else. Number 5, honor your father and mother by respecting their standards. Number 6, you shall not destroy reputation or kill time. Number 7, do not commit adultery in your heart. Number 8, do not steal by downloading that which is copyright material. Number 9, do not post false statements. And number 10, respect your brother's broadband. Those are some things that would kind of help us with, the dangers of the internet. I appreciate you watching this, and if you see this as being worthy of sharing, feel free to do that. And hopefully you will hit the like button. And also, if you can, come be with us, Lilac Road, our building located 1687 Lilac Road, Litchfield, Kentucky. Our time services on Sunday mornings, 9:30 we have Bible classes, 10:25 worship. Sunday at 5 p.m. we have worship, and then on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. we have Bible classes. If I can help you in any way, you have any questions you'd like to discuss or topics you'd like to discuss in this avenue right here, let me know. I'd be glad to do that. Hope everybody's being safe. Hope everybody has a good week. Bye-bye.